I believe we're ready to begin this afternoon. I haven't seen the final approval, but I know I'm ready, and I think the ladies are spooling up. And we always make sure the computer's working for Nicole before I begin. I've learned my lesson, so I think everything's working. What a great afternoon it's been. That brisket was you got a preacher that can lead, sing, and preach, and make brisket. What more do y'all want? I mean, I tell you, that was amazing. That was really good food, and really had a good meal together. All right, we have. I think we have everything we need to get started. Grateful for your presence. I know there are preachers in the audience and members from various churches, and I want to go ahead and make sure that we get all the visiting churches information just in case you want to take it back to the local church. If you would like to know more about the House-to-House, Heart-to-Heart School of Evangelism, I started this school several years ago. It was something Alan contacted me, and he said, Rob, what about putting the school under the umbrella of House-to-House? And I said, he said, we'll throw every resource we have towards helping this school grow. And they have. And it has been an incredible few years. And we're in the process right now of training regional instructors. When we are finished, we're going to have regional teachers all over the country. And all we're going to do is go church to church and train churches. We're going to focus churches on the most important mission in life. And we pray that the results will help churches start to grow again. And that's my only goal, is to get churches on the rise, because I know you love the church. I love the church, and I'm tired of seeing the church shed church members. And I want churches to be able to grow and kingdom growth, not because somebody moves in, not because somebody gets disgruntled and switches churches. I want kingdom growth and baptisms and results, and that's so important. And I pray that will be the result of the efforts from this school, where we are helping churches get back to their intent. And I'm not suggesting that you don't love the Lord by anything that I've said in this seminar, nor am I suggesting you're not evangelistic. I'm not suggesting that in any way that you're deficient in your desire and zeal. I'm just suggesting that we have to hone our skills, improve our abilities, and I am suggesting we need to make a funnel, and we need to stick it in the church. And the only thing that goes through that funnel is evangelism. And if it can't go through the funnel of evangelism, we shut it down. And churches become singularly focused. And instead of having 1,000 things to do, we got one thing to do. And everything funnels right through it. And I hope that this will help set the framework, what I believe can be a transformational moment for a church. I've seen churches, and I know what they can do. And so there's hope. These churches that engage in this training, and they reform and retool and refocus, the results are absolutely incredible. And I cannot wait to see what a church with your talent level, with what this church already does, I cannot wait to see where you guys are 6 months from now. I think it would be incredible. When I go to some churches, I look at them, I see where they're at, and I'm like, I don't know, it's going to take you forever to get there. I mean, they don't have the talent pool. They have to start at square one. You're not there. I mean, this church has got incredible talent. I mean, you have a great eldership, you've got deacons, and you got active members. You're already doing some of the things that we're talking about. So it's just a matter of focus and retooling, and I truly believe the Lord will bless this church immensely. We need working churches. It was Winston Churchill who once said, "He who fails to plan is planning to fail." I believe it's our number one problem in the church and evangelism. We have no plan. It's status quo. We're just doing the same old thing we've always been doing, and we're hoping it works. Well, it's not been working. I mean, the results, the numbers don't lie. And I'm a numbers guy. I look at the numbers, and if the numbers are growing up, I mean, that doesn't lie. If the numbers are going down, it tells you the truth about us. And the truth is, what we've been doing the last 2 generations is failure. The truth is that what the church did in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s was successful. It worked. I mean, you can't argue with that. The church was growing by leaps and bounds. Now the church is shrinking by leaps and bounds. And so we got to get back to what we used to do. So this strategy is a compilation of 10 steps that I have seen in our work that I know will help churches change their trajectory and hyper-focus on evangelism. I went back to the work at Pool. When we started that church, about 45, 50 members. We went to 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, and we were out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we literally were in the cornfields of Kentucky. And then I went to Hillsboro, and we started at 110, went to 130, 140, 150, and we're just baptized. No one moves to these places. All the places I've been were rural America. Then I go to Willette, and it doesn't get any more rural than Willette. When you get to Willette, the cell phone turns off, and the GPS has no idea where you're located. And I got there, we started about 220, 230, 240, 260, 280, 300. I mean, we just kept, and it's all about getting out in that community and conversions. And this is the key. So Alan Webster said, hey, Rob, he said, you don't have any experience in suburbia, do you? I said, nope, don't have any desire. And I said, I like the country setting, it's peaceful. He says, I need you to prove it in a city. He said, move to Jacksonville and prove this works. So I went to College Town. I went to Jacksonville State University, where we're located right across the school. He said, set it up. After just 1 year, Alan comes to me and says, I'm sold. He said, I've never seen anything like this. So we've been doing it 3 years at Jacksonville, and what I'm going to share with you in this session is what's happened in the last 2 years. Because I don't care where you're located. You can be located in Houston, Texas, Graber Road, Rosenberg, BCS, Mount Pleasant, Austin, it doesn't matter. Brethren, the stuff I'm teaching comes right from this book. The gospel works in every language. The gospel works on every country. The gospel works in America. And so what I want to share with you are 10 things. If I could wave a magic wand, snap my finger, and cause it to happen, these are the 10 things that I would do. Number one, you cannot do evangelism without the tools. All over church buildings in America, this is what I find. We've got plastic forks, we got plastic spoons, we got plastic knives, we got plastic plates, we got paper plates, we got paper cups, we got foam cups, we got tablecloths, we've got every utensil under the sun, we've got ovens, microwaves, refrigerators, we've got pepper, salt, we've got all the condiments that you need. You can go to the teacher's workroom, we've got scissors, glue, paper clips, push pins, we've got poster board laminating machines, we've got high-tech equipment, we got PowerPoint projector, we got the best equipment the church has ever seen. The Church of Christ has never had better technology in its history than we've got now. We've got church buildings that are immaculate. We've got LED lighting. We've got everything a person could want. But you know what we don't have? Where's the evangelism material? I mean, where is it? I mean, if I wanted to do a Bible study, what would you do? Well, man, we call Gospel Advocate, Rob. Well, you don't call Gospel Advocate to send you a spoon. You got them. You got them sitting there. You got them out where people can get them. Brother, most churches, I don't know about Graber Road, but let me just be clear. Most churches do not have the equipment to do the job. They don't have Bible study materials. They don't have materials that are focused for those who are atheists. They don't have materials focused for those who are believers but in religious error. They don't have materials focused for people maybe who just need one study. They don't have materials focused for people maybe that need to learn how to do Bible studies. They don't have the material even to be evangelistic. In fact, if they do have the material, if they're going to get the material, you don't have access to it. You don't even know where it's at. It's buried away somewhere. The first thing you need is Bibles. You got to have Bibles to do. I'm not talking about your pew Bibles. I'm talking about Bible study Bibles. Bibles that are designed for Bible studies that you can give out, that you can use, that you can, because, there is a growing group of people in our country that have no Bibles. They don't even own a Bible. I mean, at the most basic level, they need Bibles. Back to the Bible. Does it matter? Believe the Bible. Now, preacher, I don't know, preacher. That's going to cost some money to get that. When's the last time someone says, refrigerator's out? Well, I don't know if we can replace that. I don't know if it's in the budget. If the refrigerator goes out, you're at Lowe's the next day replacing it. Hey, I mean, we don't worry about the refrigerator. We go replace the refrigerator. But we're talking about this is who we are. I mean, this is the core of our existence. Brethren, if we cannot provide evangelism materials to help teach people the gospel, we need to sell the building and go home. This is the core of Christianity. We must have Bibles, and we got to have the equipment to teach people. I can't spell that out any clearer than that, number two. Why is it in the closet? Why is it locked away in the preacher's office? I went to one church. I said, brother, I need to see your evangelism material. He said, man, I knew you were coming. I was prepared. He said, follow me. I said, well, this is going to be good. So I followed him. He got out the ring of keys. Have you ever seen the ring of keys before at a church? Here's more keys. I said, what in the world? He gets out the key. We're going one by one. He said, now, it's in this room right here. We finally found the right key. We opened it up, turned the lights on. At the end of the room, there's a locker. Got out the ring of keys. And got out the ring of keys, went through 7, 8 keys, finally opened the locker. He reaches up. He pulls it out. He says, preacher, I ordered those back to the Bible. Before you got here, we were prepared. I said, brother, why is it locked in a locker, locked in a room on the back side of the church building? He said, oh, we were afraid someone might get them. I said, brother, is that not the point? I said, we want people to get them. Why is it in a locker locked in a room? How in the world can people do Bible studies when it's locked in a locker? He said, oh, never really thought about that before. Brother, why is it that we put evangelism materials in the library and no one even sees them? Why is it that it's in the preacher's office, locked away? Why is it in some filing cabinet that no one has access to? Here's one of the first things you should do. Get the materials, establish an evangelism table, and make it the highlight of your church. You put all the materials on it. You make sure the church members can find it. You make sure the church members have access to it. You make sure that people can grab it. You don't hide it in a coat closet. You don't put it in some obscure place. You make it where people literally have to stumble over it to get out of the church building. It is the centerpiece, heartbeat of the church, and you shouldn't bury it. I went to one church. Preacher, I said, I thought you said you put some evangelism material out here in the foyer. He said, well, about that. He said, I did. He said, Rob, he says, I took the suggestions you made. We got it all ready. And he says, well, I came back a few days later. It was all gone. I said, gone? I said, where did it go? He said, well, I called it. I thought maybe people took it. I put it out again. That's all right. I had to staff. I put it out again. Had it all laid out, you know. I went back a few days later. It was gone. I said, brother, what's happening to your materials? He said, well, I was going to find out. He said, so I called one of the elders and said, brother, where's the evangelism table that I set up? He said, no, about that table. Now, when we built this $3 million facility, we asked for suggestions as to what went in the foyer. We all took all the suggestions, and he says, now we have the antique table, we got the, flowery pictures and the little lampstand, and we've got the little, register board, and you said nothing about this gaudy looking table. He said, and the women, they were complaining. They want to know why in the world are you allowed to put this material right out in the middle of the foyer? That was never approved. He said, now preacher, he says, I know. So we still have it. We put it in the coat closet. If someone wants to get it, they can walk in there and get the material. He said, Rob, he says, I was about to lose it. He said, but I got in the pulpit that Sunday night and I preached on the coat closet. He said, I said, brethren, go to the coat closet. We've got evangelism materials back to the Bible. Does it matter? We've got it all ready for you. You want to do a Bible study? We got Bibles in there. We've got door hangers. We got all the tools you need. Go to the coat closet. I stood by the coat closet after services. How many people went into the coat closet? None. Out of sight, out of mind. Put it where people can get it. Brethren, I couldn't believe what, I said, are you sure that's what happened? I told my son, Jared, and I told Hannah and Nicole and my dad, we were talking. I said, surely this is the exception. I mean, surely this will be the one time in my life I hear a story. That happened 3 times that year. Sell the building and go home. If that's where we're at in the church, that we can't put evangelism materials in the foyer because it doesn't match the decor, brethren, why don't we just start over? I mean, that is the centerpiece of who we are. Here's my suggestion. You grab the materials, you put them out there in the foyer, and you put a big bulletin board over it and says evangelism. You get a table skirt, evangelism. And you cover that material, cover the table in materials, and you teach the church how to use it, and you make it the most important event in the church. Everybody grab your materials, I tell you what, the first time we did it at Jacksonville, the elder said, Rob, what should we do? I said, step 1, get the materials. All right, get whatever we need. Step 2, put a table out there in the foyer, and let's put it out there. Watch what will happen. This is a lady. I watched. I got there early just to watch this. This is one of the ladies. I had all the materials set up, and she walked in. Evangelism. Oh, my. this, and he goes like this, and she went right around it. It's frightening. I can't believe there's evangelism materials on that table. I mean, you have church members, that scares them to death. Teach them how to use it. That's step number 3. By the way, here's some examples of tables. It's just very basic. Now, if you got to have the antique table to match the decor, get the antique table. Just get it out there. Put the materials on it. I mean, get that evangelism material available for church members. And if you do that, train them. A DeWalt saw, man, it's a masterpiece in the hand of a carpenter. It's a deadly weapon in my hand. I have no idea what to do with that thing. I've got one. I'm not so sure I need to be operating it, but I've got one. But you put it on the hands of a master carpenter, man, they'll make you a masterpiece out of it. Brethren, train your church members how to use their equipment. How many of you guys run a business or operate a business, work for a business? You got to train them how to use the forklift, train them how to use, you got to train how to use the tractor, train them how to use a piece of equipment, and you got to become proficient, even certified, right? I mean, you got to learn how to use the technology, the computer, the boards, the circuit, whatever it is. You train them. You don't just throw them loose. You train them, because that training is pivotal, because that equipment does nothing. Your evangelism table is worthless if you don't train people how to use it. They got to know what it is. I'm going to do something for you. Because you're enrolled in the house-to-house, heart-to-heart school of evangelism, I'm going to give you a benefit we only give churches who are enrolled. We took months to do this. We got people who work at house-to-house, and they're incredible at what they do. Artists, they're graphic guys, and they professionally design PowerPoints for Back to the Bible. We will train you. I will give you my PowerPoints. I will give it to your preacher. All you got to do is run it through them. All you got to do is train the church. I'd suggest you put it out there on Sunday morning, and you pass out Back to the Bible to every church member, and you train them how to use it, and it'll take you about 7, 8, 9 weeks to do it. You're going to go through all 3 booklets. And because of that, you're going to be able to sit people in the pew, and they're going to underline those passages, circle those answers, and you're going to teach them how to use Back to the Bible. When you're done, you're going to teach them how to use Does It Matter? Huh? But preacher, there's nothing more important. What's more important than learning how to save souls? When you're done with that, train them how to believe the Bible. That's how you reach people who don't believe in God, don't believe in Jesus, don't believe in the Bible. Brethren, you never stop training. Every year you should dedicate time from your pulpit to training your church members how to do Bibles. Well, Rob, we could have a special class on Tuesday night. No one will come. You're going to get 6 people there. All right? Train them on Sunday morning when you got everybody sitting there. And so feed them the Word of God. Feed my sheep, Jesus said. Feed them. Help them grow. Teach them how to do Bible studies. You know what? They just might do one. I'll tell you what, Cliff Goodwin and I are good friends. We vacation together on occasions. Our families, he's a preacher. He does preaching the gospel. Cliff is a talented man. And I say, hey, Cliff said, Rob, come on and teach us how to do evangelism. So he scheduled it, and we came, and about a few months passed. And I said, well, I haven't heard from Cliff lately. I said, Cliff, how things going? He said, man, Rob, I have never seen so many baptisms. I said, well, Cliff, I knew you'd baptize a lot of people. He said, I haven't baptized one. I mean, I baptized him, but I haven't taught anybody. I said, what do you mean? He said, I did what you said. We put the materials out on the table. We trained the church. He said, our ladies in the church are baptizing more people than I can keep up with. I said, he said, Rob, we trained them how to do Bible studies, and they're doing Bible studies. He says, it's wonderful. You know, there's nothing that thrills your preacher more than when he baptizes somebody he didn't teach. You did it. And that's church growth. You can't dump it on your preacher. You can't dump it on just 1 or 2 people. Get the church involved. The church is never going to do Bible studies until you train them. You've got to provide them the equipment and the training, and they'll do it. You'll love those PowerPoints. I'm going to give them to you. Number 4, you got to promote an evangelistic atmosphere in the church. You got to promote an atmosphere of evangelism. What does that mean? That means we take benevolence and we take a big, gigantic evangelistic funnel and we stick it in there. No more benevolence unless we do Bible studies. Huh? Yeah. No more light bills. No more gas. Don't you notice they always run out of gas going to California in your parking lot? I don't know how that goes. They always run out in my parking lot. And they're always a member of the church in some northeastern state that I've never heard of before. And their preacher can't even find him on the internet. Always happens to me. Not you, right? And so you know, we're not doing that anymore. Yeah, we're going to promote an evangelistic atmosphere and focus every benevolent work on Bible studies. Sure. Hello. Does this church help people? Yes, sir. Do you help people who need help with food? Oh, yes, sir. He said, would you help us? Be glad to. When can you help us? Every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, we help people. Huh? Yeah, and Sunday morning at 9:30 and 10:30. Huh? Yeah, and we help people at 6 o'clock on Sundays. Can't wait to see you. What do you mean? I said, yeah, we help people on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. Well, I need help now. I know, I'm so sorry, but we help people Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. And if you need help, you'll be here. I've been doing that for years. You know what happens? Sometimes they come, and when they come, hey, brother, get that back to the Bible and go back there and teach them. Brother, they need a lot more help than their stomach, let me tell you what. You know what they need? They need Jesus, because they need to transform their life. And giving them $50 isn't going to transform their life. It's going to enable them to keep making bad choices. What they need to know is what Jesus teaches in this book, because this book will take them to a place that they can't even imagine. It's going to reform their entire life. And we need to do Bible study. So here's what we do. When they come, I say, take them to the back room and do a Bible study with them. Me? Can you not take back to the Bible and do a Bible study? Sure you can. It's book 1, John 8:32. Can you read it? Do a Bible study. Preacher, you got to do. No, I don't. I'm teaching the adult class. You go back there and do a Bible study. They don't need my class. They need back to the Bible. They need to do a Bible study. Oh, I love that. There are so many different ways that you can take benevolence. And we're benevolent people. I mean, how many of us do this? You know, coat dries for the winter. Maybe you don't do that in Houston. You do turkey giveaways for Thanksgiving. You know, you do backpack drives for teachers. You do there's so many. I love benevolence. You know, for a lot of people, benevolence is an albatross around the neck. Yeah, I'm burned out on benevolence. You know why you're burned out? You're tired of getting taken advantage of. Why don't you do a Bible study? There's a church up in Crossville, Tennessee, and guy calls me and said, hey, preacher, can I come talk to you? I said, well, sure. And so I thought he was going to sit down and, you know, try to figure out what we're doing. And I was doing this quite frequently. And no, it wasn't that. He said, I've got something I need to show you. He said, I need to tell you about our benevolent ministry here. I said, what are y'all doing? He says, well, we advertise in the paper that every Monday evening at 7 o'clock, we offer benevolence to the community. If you need to help, come. I said, in the paper? He said, yep. Been doing it for years. I said, well, what happens? They come. I said, then what happens? He said, we have it in a big fellowship hall like yours. We sit down, we have tables, back to the Bibles on every table, or searching for truth, or open Bible study, and we sit down. I said, what do you do next? He said, we have Bible studies. I said, but they came to get help. We help them when they're done with the study. Why do you think Jesus fed the 5,000? To solve world poverty? You think Jesus, I'm going to solve, Jesus said the poor will always be with you. The Church of Christ cannot solve world poverty, brethren, but we can solve the spiritual problem that causes world poverty. Let's get down to the crux of the matter. People need the Lord. They need Jesus. Brethren, we are not the soup kitchen. We cannot solve all the problems of Rosenberg, Texas. But what we can do is use benevolence as a way to get to people's soul. Because it's the soul of man that needs regenerated. It's the soul of man that needs change. And if you change the soul of man, everything else will fix itself. People begin to do what's right. I can't tell you how powerful that is. Jesus knew, that's why he did it. Oh, preacher, now you know what's going to happen. There's going to be some people that show up just to get the voucher to pay the light bill. Sure, they will. Do you think there were people who just showed up because Jesus gave them loaves and fishes? You better believe there were. But when they were listening to Jesus as they ate their loaf and fish, I've never heard that before. He really cares. I think what he's saying is right. You'll find people like that. Do you know there are still good people in America? Yeah, there are some charlatans out there. I get it. There are some people out here that the Lord himself couldn't convert. We know it. They don't want it. They have a choice. The Lord won't force them. But there are also some people out there just don't know any better. They need some good Bible teaching. They need somebody to take them by the hand and lead them to the cross. They need someone to show them the love of Christ. Use benevolence to do Bible studies. If you'll do, you'll baptize. Every year. I'm just showing you pictures of the last 18 months. I started to think with some people sit in the pews and said, well, I bet that preacher, what's he do? He just goes around the country. He doesn't practice what he preaches. Well, if I didn't practice what I preach, I'd quit. When I get home, this is what I do. Every time I get home, I got a Bible study plan when I get home. I'm going to get home Monday mid-morning. I'm going to drive straight tomorrow right after worship. I want to get home because I got a Bible study when I get home. His name's Robin Williams. He's waiting for me. I just finished with Tony Adams. I said, I love it. I love Bible studies. And Robin's down on his luck, by the way. Church has been helping him. He's just waiting for the Bible study. Her name's Kim. And when we met Kim, Kim had a lot. She got house to house, and she called us, and Kim needs some help. And so we pick her up. She doesn't have a ride to church. We bring her to church, take her back home, and bring her to church, take her back home. And Kim needs a little food. We get her the food. And hey, by the way, Kim, could we tell you a little bit more about this church? Oh, yeah. Green booklet, Nicole, John 8:32. We just pass out the Bibles. We do the same thing every time. I do the same thing I just get John 8:32, get my Bible, and we do Bible studies because this is how people are changed. Now, let me tell you about Miss Kim. This is Kim. Kim, can you see? Not very good, Rob. I said, well, you got glasses? Can't afford them. I said, it's okay. How much will they cost? $200 down the street. Said they give an exam in 2 pair. Make the appointment. Rob, I don't have to. I said, I didn't ask that. I said, make the appointment. Nicole took her, got her glasses, brought her back. What do you think she did when she finished book 3? I truly believe if the people in the world could see the love of Christians in action, we'd fill the building. She never misses. Nicole talked to her yesterday on the phone while we were heading to Graber Road. She called. She said, hey, Nicole, how are you guys doing? We're doing fine. Kim, how are you doing? Kim, she said, I just said into my first Bible study, I'm teaching a new convert. We have no excuse. Number 5, this is the most important part of this lesson. We have got to create contacts. Brethren, if there are no contacts, there are no studies. We need people. We need to find non-Christians. We need to find non-members. We need to find people that are not members of this church. Your mission is not to visit with every brother and sister you know. Your mission is to find those you don't know. We need contact. How do you get contacts? So I'm going to give you some ways to get contacts. Things I know that I would not tell you these things if they didn't work. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't mean to hurt your feelings. I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but I'm just going to be honest. I have people call me all the time, Rob, we've got this little thing we're doing. We want you to share it with everybody. I said, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just going to give you, we go to the flea market every Saturday, set up a booth. I said, well, wonderful. We pass out tracts. I said, wonderful. I'm never going to discourage that. He said, and we want you to tell everybody to do the same. I said, I have one question. How many people have we baptized? Oh, not yet, none yet. How long have you been doing it? Oh, about 3-4 years. I said, when you baptize people, let me know. Brethren, I'm a result-oriented man because results matter. I am not going to waste your time with things that don't work. The things I'm going to suggest to you are things that I know work. I know they work because I've been doing them for 20 years, and other churches do them. I know that works. When you do it right, the problem is most churches don't do it right. And what I'm finding is that a lot of churches use house to house, have no idea what they're doing with it. So I want to train you how to use house to house. Number 1, house to house can be sent to local addresses in your community. Now, they must be sent to the same address for 2 years. You cannot switch them up. You can't miss. You can't do it once or twice a year. It doesn't work. You got to keep sending it, keep sending it. It's a precision-guided target. And so you send this to the same address. You keep sending it. Eventually, they're going to read it. Eventually, it's going to lay on the coffee table. They're going to have a bad day. They're going to pick it up, and they're going to read it. On the front, you're going to advertise the services you offer. I'm going to talk to your elders after this class. I'm going to give you a list of things that will generate Bible studies. That's an important list. A lot of people don't know that. They just, at large, put things down. No, I'm going to give you specific things to put on it. And I know some of those things produce me a Bible study every year. Now, you're going to advertise this church. Why do you need to advertise this church? Because you've got people sitting across the street that don't even know you're here. If you're the average church, you're probably not the average church. But most churches, people don't even know you're here. So if you do that, you might get this. I'm sitting in the pew. I just got home from a Texas trip. And I looked over to the left, and I saw this lady. I didn't know who she was. Nicole was visiting her mama. I'm by myself that Sunday. Kids are with her. I went up to Alan Webster. Alan Webster's finished preaching. He walks back. I walk over. Hey, Alan, who's that? Oh, she's been coming, Rob, for a couple weeks ever since you've been gone. I think she's a contact. Great. That's all I want. I'm exhausted. But all I want is a Bible study. I walk right over. I make sure she can't get out. I don't let them escape. I go right up to her and I said, hey, name's Rob. What's your name? Oh, my name's Ellen. Hey, Ellen, nice to meet you. Are you a member here? Oh, no. I said, well, I travel a lot and I'm just one of the members here. Oh, okay. I said, do you like the church here? Well, I sure do. I said, well, great. She said, you know, y'all have a lot of Bible here. I said, we sure do. You like the Bible? I love the Bible. I said, I do too. And I said, Ellen, do you live around here? Oh, just down the road. I said, great, man. Boom. I mean, I'm laying it out right here. I need the Bible study. And so she looks at me. I said, Ellen, by yourself? No, well, my husband, he was sick this morning. I'd like to meet your husband. My wife is not here. She'll be here tonight. Hey, she says, do you have an evening service? I said, we sure do, 6 o'clock. Come on. And she said, I'll be back. And so she comes back that evening with her husband. Her husband's Perry. And we're just talking. I introduced Nicole. We're visiting. We just so happen to have this custom. Why don't we go out to eat? Get to know each other. On me. Got a favorite restaurant? He says, well, I kind of like a Phoenix. It's a little expensive, though. I said, no problem. I said, I'll make reservations. He said, yeah, let's do it next Sunday. You know, I said, sounds great. So next Sunday they come. We made reservations. We go to a Phoenix. We sit down. I could care less about their Italian food. Don't care about the garlic bread. Don't care about the oil. Don't care about eating. All I want is a Bible study. I want them to go to heaven. Lasagna doesn't help people go to heaven. Bible studies help people go to heaven. So we're just sitting there talking. I'm looking for the sweet spot. I'll find it. Just give me time. Give me 5 minutes. Football, I'm talking golf, nope. Tennis, nope. Basketball, nope. Fishing, hunting, Alabama football. Boy, Nick Saban, best coach in college. You know, best coach in college football, you know. And man, Alabama had a bad year. You know why? They didn't win the national championship. Anytime they don't win the national championship, it's a bad year. And so it was LSU and Clemson. This is just last year, brethren. Just last year. LSU and Clemson. I said, Perry, would you like to watch the championship game? Man, I can't wait till tomorrow. I got an idea. Oh, what was that? Oh, that was Nicole. She knows what I'm about to do. Hey, Perry, in my house, I've got this big screen. When I bought it, somebody put it there. I didn't. 9 speakers, subwoofer. Never watched a football game until you seen it on this screen. Really? I said, would you like to come over? My wife can cook sausage, balls, wieners, and mustard. Oh, man, I tell you what, chips and dip. I said, come on. And he said, you'd invite me. I said, sure, come on in. Come on. He said, honey, can we go? And she said, well, sure. Well, they came over about 6 o'clock that night. We had, desserts and whatever, and hors d'oeuvres, and we watched the football game. You know what I'm praying for? Blowout. All I want is a Bible study. I could care. Brethren, if I got to be an Alabama fan to get me a Bible study, I'll root for Alabama. I'll root for any team. A&M, UT, I don't care. I want a Bible study. That's all that matters. We have to get our priorities right. Hey, Perry, why'd y'all visit Jacksonville? Oh, 21 years ago, Rob, you sent us this little publication, House to House, Heart to Heart. I get it every month. I said, yes, sir. Yeah, I read it. I love it. He said, we always fill it out. He said, you guys follow the Bible. It's obvious. Our church stopped following the Bible. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, we go to this Methodist church, and they just voted that they're no longer going to support what God says about marriage. Now men can get married, women can get married. And he says, I don't understand that. Do you? I said, no. I said, would you like to know more about the Jacksonville Church of Christ? He said, I sure would. I said, Nicole, Green Books, John 8:32. I don't even ask. You know what's going to happen, don't you? Give me 3 weeks. And God will He'll do it every time. It's not about me. It's about God. God's word works. If you study God's word with people, it'll change their life. They just got to study it. Perry and Ellen never miss. Strong members of the church, good friends. Inside, you're going to, on the back side, you can advertise your gospel meeting, your VBS, whatever you want to advertise. I suggest your preacher writes an article. But inside, this is where we miss it, right here. Most people don't know this. Inside, there's an opportunity for a person to request free things. You can request anything you want. And the biggest mistake we make is we mail it to them. Don't mail it. Send it personally. Knock on their door. Get to know them. Her name is Brenda. Deborah Rice calls me. Hey, Rob. Yes, ma'am. We had this lady in the community. I've only been there a few months. We had this lady in the community. She requested some information on marriage, tracts, DVDs, books. I said, sure. Should we mail it? I said, oh, no. But, Rob, we always mail it. And I said, that's why we don't baptize. What do you want me to do with it? I said, put it in my box. Well, what are you going to do, Rob? I said, I'm going to hand deliver it. Okay. She puts it in the box. I grab Nicole. We come down the road, grab the material. Brenda Glaze, 241 North Street, whatever. I'm looking. I finally get the house. Always take a woman. Brethren, stand back. You'll scare them if they see you. Always let them see your wife. Oh, and oh, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. This is my wife, Nicole. My name is Rob, and we're from house to house, and you requested some material on marriage. Oh, yes, ma'am. Are you just married? Oh, I just got married. And I said, well, congratulations. How long you been married? A couple months. I said, wonderful. I said, not a better place to go than the Bible about marriage. She said, I know, I believe that. She says, are you from a church here? I said, oh, yes, ma'am, just a church down the road. Oh, great. She said, well, I appreciate y'all. You could have just mailed this stuff to me. Oh, but I couldn't have met you. Well, that's true. And she says, well, can you help me with something? I said, what can we do? Do you know anything about the Bible? Oh, just a little. She says, good, because my husband knows nothing about the Bible. Daniel, get out of the couch and get over here. That man's been on the couch ever since he got home. Daniel, get over here. We got things to do. Daniel's going like this, he comes to the door. Brenda says, hey, we're going to teach you the Bible. I said, when would you like to start? What about tomorrow? Says, sounds good to me. This is what happened. We baptized and baptized and baptized and baptized. Make personal contact. Do Bible studies. Let people read the Word of God, because that's what happens when you do it. I was told by some, Rob just gets lucky, for 23 years. Brethren, it doesn't matter where you live, what state you're from. I'm from Texas. Texas isn't a lot different than Tennessee, to be honest. I don't care where you're from, who you are, what language you speak. If you're from New Zealand or America, Bible studies work. Oh, ask James Kamek. He came up to me. He's a Kiwi. He came up to me and says, Rob, he said, I should have known this. He says, we do this in New Zealand. It's called Bible studies. That's right. Bible studies. That's how people come to know Jesus. We don't need to talk them into the church. We need to study with them and show them what God says. Baptize 7 people because of that. Then you can target people. You can actually single out an address of a coworker or a neighbor, and you can say, send house to house here, send house to house here, send it here. So you're going to send it to a whole area. Then you're going to target certain people, and you're going to send it to friends and family and neighbors and people that you work with and you go to school with, and you're on the same ball teams together, and you're in the same hunting club together, the fishing club. You're going to send it all to them. All you got to do is give me an address, and we'll send it. Hey, Bob. About a year ago, you and I talk about the Bible a lot. Yeah. I subscribed to this magazine to you called House to House. Oh, yeah. You did that? I was wondering why I was getting that thing. Do you like it? Everybody likes House to House. Yeah, that is a really neat magazine. I said, yes, sir. Is there anything in there that you enjoy? Topics, things that, oh, yeah, that one about grace of God, that was really good. What do you know about the grace of God? All I want is a Bible study, and I'll get it. Door knocking. Oh, I knew you were going to say it, preacher. Here it is. Here it comes. You're going to tell us we got to knock doors once a year. Once a year, I want you to knock doors. At least once a year. So we have a National Door Knocking Day. We did the first National Door Knocking Day the year 2019. You know what we did? We knocked 55,000 doors among churches of Christ. We baptized 12 people in one day. If the news would do their job, we would have been on the news. Because there were Christians all over this country knocking doors We're going to do it again in October of 2021. We got a special door knocking edition. We just go up to people's door. Now, always select the route that you're sending house to house to. There's a reason for this. This is precision, not at large. This is not random. We just don't arbitrarily meet and start doing things that we haven't thought through. All right? So I'm going to select a road that has houses where we've been sending house to house for years. And I'm going to knock on every one of those doors. I'm going to say this. Yes, sir. Name's Rob Whitacre. We subscribe to this publication to you. Do you recognize it? Yeah, I think I see that. Oh, yeah, I got it on my table in there. I said, what do you think about it? It generates a contact. Now, is everybody you knock a door going to be a Bible study? No. You may knock 100 doors before you get one, but you will. And there are people you're going to find that day that you won't find in any other venue. They're not going to come visit Graber Road. They don't know anybody here. It's an avenue of reaching out, and it's the only way to reach these people. His name was Nick Jones. Nick Jones is about Jackson's age. And Nick said, I'll go out, Rob. We had 40 of us go out that day. I said, Nick, take the Oak Grove Road. He says, here's your stack of house to house. Nick goes out, and he meets Gary's house. As soon as he knocked, the dog is the most vicious dog you've ever seen in your life. I mean, it salivates. Gary has it on a chain. And he says, Rob, he says, I knocked on this door. He said, Rob, you've never seen a dog like this. He said, I thought I was lunch. And he said, and so he peeps this door up. Yes, can I help you? Yes, sir, my name is Nick. Yes, yeah, name's Gary. Can you restrain your dog? He said, I'm holding on now. I won't open it too much. He said, okay. He said, what you doing here? He says, well, my name is Nick, and I'm passing out this little maggot. Where are you from? Willette Church of Christ. Used to go to the Church of Christ 30 years ago. Wife left me, got ran over by a paver. We did all that in 30 seconds. And Nick goes, would you like to know something about the church? Oh, sure. No one ever visits me for some reason. I can see why. And he says, oh, can I bring my preacher back? Oh, sure. Come back anytime. I'm lonely. Love to talk to people. So Nick calls me. Hey, Rob. I'm Rob. Yes, Nick. Can we go visit a guy named Gary? I said, sure. So Nick and I go back the next day. He said, now, Rob, he has a vicious dog. I said, what's the dog's name? Precious. Precious. So I knocked on the door. Dog about comes through the door. Gary's holding it back. I said, Gary, can we chain the dog up? Yeah, give me a minute. He chains the dog up. Come on in, boys. When we come on in, there's more smoke than oxygen. We come on in, and we have one couch with one cushion. I sit on the cushion. Nick sits on the floor. Gary sits on the chair. What can I do for you boys? Gary, I understand you used to go to the church. Yeah, Springfield. Who was your preacher? Yeah, he did go. I said, yeah. I said, what happened? He said, you know them women. I said, yes, sir, I know them women. He said, left me, just left me. I'm working all day long and I said, I know, it's terrible. And I just let him talk. He needs to get it off his chest. Just listen, hesitate, hearken, use your principles, defer. Yeah, haven't been to church in 30 years. I said, really? I said, Gary, could I tell you a little bit more about the church at Willette? He said, well, sure. Nick, John 8:32, get the green book. What do you think Gary did? He was restored. I'd never forget it. I said, Gary, when we sing the invitation song, just walk forward. I'll take care of everything else. Because it's a public sin, not a closet sin. He needs to come home. Gary is the introduction. It's the opening song. Gary decides to come forward in the opening song. Never seen this before. Gary wanders down to the front. I said, I guess we can't wait. Gary comes over here. He sits down. Gary says, I'm ready to make things right, Rob. I said, don't worry, we will. I said, brethren, Gary wants to make things right now, and we will. And we did. And he doesn't miss. It's called the New Movers Ministry. We have access to every new person who moves into your community. You know why that's important? Because we want to be the first face they see. When someone moves into your community, I want to be the first person there at their door. I want them to know we're here to welcome them. When a person moves into a community, it's challenging. You don't know where. Literally, you don't know who's going to pick up my garbage. Where do I get my internet service at? Where's a local church? Where's a local grocery store? What do I do? They don't know. Well, what happens if you're the first ones to meet them? If you're the first ones to provide them that information? David Shannon said this at PTP. People are most likely to change churches when they move. A couple of generations ago, if a couple or a family or an individual moved from one city to another city, they usually stayed with that same denomination. Those days are over. I don't care what church they were a member of in the last town. I want them to visit the church of Christ because it's a powerful opportunity to one day to sit down with them and study the Word of God. Brethren, visit newcomers. How do you do that? Well, let me see here. Make them a new mover's basket. Right now, my wife is teaching your ladies how to, you may already do this, but my wife is teaching your ladies how to do this. Send them to the dollar store, give them $10, they'll give you a basket. Give them $100, they give you 10 baskets. And I tell you, brethren, now listen to this. If you told your ladies to go shopping in the name of the Lord, can you think of the reaction you would get? Dollar Tree, in the name of the Lord, go to the Dollar Tree. Give me 10 baskets. They get so excited. They're going to go to the Dollar Tree, make 10 baskets. They're going to bring them back. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to access your app because we're going to give it to you. Give it to us, we'll give it to you. We're going to give you the app that shows you every new person in your community. We're going to give you their name. We're going to give you their address. And then it's up to you what you do with it. We're also going to send them a postcard and a new movers edition. We'll do it one time for you. We're going to send it right to their door. And then you're going to follow up with this new movers basket, and you're going to do this. Hey, my name's Andy, my wife. We're your neighbor, and we noticed you moved in recently, and I'm sorry it's taken us so long to get here. Welcome to the community. My wife made you some chocolate chip. Always make chocolate chip cookies. My wife made you some chocolate chip cookies. Oh, that was so sweet. And we got this little basket from the church. Where do you go to church? Oh, well, just grab a road down the road. We'd love to have you visit. Really? Do you go to church? Haven't found one yet. What do you think would happen if you did that? Well, I don't know. Maybe they don't visit. But I promise you, my little bit of something's better than your whole lot of nothing. You do nothing, you'll get nothing. If you don't greet newcomers, don't worry, they won't come. But if you go out there and you actually say hello and you give them something and say, come see us at church and we'd love it. And add to that, watch this. Which I believe is one of the most potent ministries you can do. Because this right here produces. It's called compassion card. If you do it right, not an at-large ministry, but there are certain things you got to hit to make this work. Number one, compassion cards. You got to have the right message. You got to have it divided properly. You got to overwhelm them with cards. You got to get your list, and you got to populate it. You got to send cards to visitors, newcomers, people who are struggling, people with COVID, people with cancer, people who just need a little love. You know what Jude 21 says, by the way? Have you ever read it? You probably have. On some have compassion, making a difference. Think about that verse. Jesus told you this. On some have compassion because you make a difference. You know, some people just need some compassion. There are people out here that are struggling, they're sick, they're down on their luck, their life's in flux, they don't really know which direction to go, and they just need someone to care about them. And so you're going to overwhelm them with cards. You're going to send them 30 cards. Now, there's always a penny pincher in the men's group. Let me tell you what he'll say. Well, that's kind of expensive, you know. If we sent one card with 30 signatures, we'd save money. Don't listen to them because you're losing the effect. You want every church member in that group to send a card. You want to get it out there. It's precision. Everybody's involved. You don't ask for volunteers. You don't send it to the ladies group. Every church member is involved. You don't give them a choice. When they became baptized and a Christian, they were enlisted. No sergeant says, now if you'd like to go out in the battle, follow me. He says, march. Brethren need led. You get them out there and you get in a room, you have a group leader. I'm going to teach you how to do all of this. I'm going to try to set it up for you. And you write lots of cards. If you do that, that might happen. Her name's Bettina. And she needs some help. The hospital called us. Said, this lady's at the hospital. She's going home. She won't make it. Why are you calling us? Well, she put down Church of Christ. Oh, okay. We'll be there. Nicole and I knocked on her door, and one of our elders came before we did, and wow, she needs help. And we're sitting there talking with her. I said, Bettina, could we help you clean up a little bit? I can't get up. I said, I know. She's on oxygen, And I said, let's clean up. Nicole, Hannah, Jerry, get over here right now. Bring the gloves and the pine saw and anything else you can grab. So we start cleaning things up for her, and we're just talking to her, and she says, hey, Miss Nicole, can you come bring me my purse? And Nicole says, sure. So she brings her over her purse, and she says, can you get my wallet out? And Nicole says, yes. She opens it up, pulls it out, and gives it to her. And she says, and she pulls out money. And she says, can you go get me some food? Nicole says, Rob, don't take this money. We'll be on the 5 o'clock news for sure. She says, don't do this, Rob. And I said, honey, it's all right. It's okay. I said, she just wants food. So we came to the store. We got her food, brought it back, put it in the cabinet. Said, anything else you need, Bettina? Yeah. Sure would like to go to a church. I said, no problem. I said, we'll pick you up. Yeah, I'll get off this oxygen eventually. I said, I know, it's okay. She said, can you change my tank out? I said, sure, I'd be glad to. Anything else? No. Can you get my mail? Jerry, go get the mail. We came back. We had ladies going by every day, checking on her, bringing her to church. The cards started to appear. They're called compassion cards. They're everywhere. Bettina, where are all these cards coming? Your church. People send me cards every day. Brightens my day. I read them multiple times. I said, Bettina, would you like to know more about this church? Sure would. Nicole, John 8:32, green booklets, Bible, John 8:32. And we started. I'll never forget this Bible study. I'm going to share it with you because I've never seen anything like this. We're in the red booklet, lesson 3. Bettina, can you read Mark 16:16 for me? She says, sure. She knows her Bible. She knows it. My pastor told me all about that verse. I said, yep, believed, saved, baptized. Bettina, can you read Mark 16:16? Yes, Rob. Believe, saved, and baptized. I said, Bettina, could you read it word for word? Is there something wrong? I said, well, let's read it word for word. He that believes and is baptized. Now, that's not what my pastor told me it said. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. I said, Bettina, let's go to the next verse. What do you think she did when she learned the truth? Took 2 of us, Alan and I. I was curious. I couldn't help myself. Bettina, you put down Church of Christ. Oh, yeah, I'm a Baptist. Not anymore. I said, okay. And I said, Bettina, why'd you put down Church of Christ? Well, in Ohatchee. I didn't even know where that's at, Alabama somewhere. She said, I live next to a Church of Christ, and they took good care of me there. I said, well, good. I went to that church. So I just thought, y'all help me too. I said, well, yes, absolutely. And Bettina, how long were you in this church? 7 years. Bettina, in that 7-year period of time, you sat in their pews. How often did you go? Every Sunday. In that 7-year period of time that you went to that church every Sunday and you lived next door, did anybody at that church offer to do a Bible study with you? No. Didn't really need it. At least I thought. Brethren, I want to know how someone sits in the pews for 7 years in a Church of Christ and no one does a Bible study. Shame on us. But it happens, doesn't it? About 4 months later, I'm in Texas. I come to Texas about 3 times a year. And I was actually in Texas again. And hello. Hey, Rob, this is Rebecca, one of the ladies that helps Bettina. Hey, Rebecca, how's it going? Well, Rob, I got into Bettina's house here, and she wouldn't answer the door. I'm in her bedroom. Rob, she's blue. Shake her. I did. Call 911. Already have. She didn't make it. Aren't you glad she still wasn't at Ohatchee? You should never allow a visitor to walk in your door without getting their information. It should never happen. Every time a visitor comes in, you should have their information. Now, don't let them sit down. Let them sit down in the pew. You don't want to tackle them in the foyer. Let them sit. We did a survey, visitors in churches. What is the number one thing you want to do when you come to a church? You know what it was? Anybody have a guess? Sit down. That's what they want to sit down. Let them sit down and then sit with them. Just sit with them. Would you be my visitor just for a minute, brother? Could you be the visitor? Would you be? Thank you. Thank you. Name's Rob. Your name is?
Larry Phillips.
Larry, it's nice to meet you. Are you visiting this morning?
Yes, I am.
Glad to have you, Larry. And I want to sit. We always sit down. Never hover over people. So I'm going to be sitting next to you. Hey, Larry, you visiting from the community here?
Yes.
All right, great. I'm glad you're here. It's your first time?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Oh, gotcha, even better. Hey, Larry, we've got this little bag. It's called a visitor's bag, and we've got some Bible, and we got a pen and pencil, and some candies, and we've got some other things that ladies have given. We'd just like to give you that as a gift. And it's got a little cup that says Graber Road Church of Christ, got our email and phone number on it, pins, and that's for you. Oh, by the way, what was your name again? Larry. How'd you, L-A-R-R, and what's your last name? Phillips, P-H-I-L. And you got a local contact information? He's going to give it to me every time. I've never been told no. When you get a gift, you always give it. Now, here's what we do in churches. I don't know what you do here. I'm just telling you the typical church does this. Here's the guy doing announcements. Now, if you're visiting, you got a card in the pew back, fill it out. No one fills that out. The members don't even do it anymore. Or we do this. Larry Phillips. Hey, did you see Larry Phillips? Yeah. What was his name? Phillips, Patterson, something like that. Maybe Bob? I don't know. I can't remember anymore. Where was he from? Oh, somewhere around here. We don't even get their information. They come into our building. They exit the building. We have no phone number, no email address. We have nothing. But we were nice to them. We're a talkative church. Oh, we always talk to people. I want their information, because I cannot contact them without information. I need to know where they live. I need to know their address. I need their information. That bag gives me information. I was with a guy who sells insurance. He owns a business, and he says, Rob, he said, if someone came into our insurance agency looking for insurance, and my agent failed to get their information, I'd fire them. How is it that visitors come into the Church of Christ, we don't get their address, we don't get their email, we don't get their phone number, and they come in and they leave, but we were nice? What good is that going to do? We want to contact them. You know what we want to do? Here's what we want to do. We want to send 50 cards. Send 50 cards to a visitor, I bet they'll be back. I can't do that if they don't have an address. Take them out to eat. Always take people out to eat. You should invite every visitor to go out to eat. You know why? I'll tell you why. His name is Dale Harris. His brother is the Attorney General in Alabama. Dale's a member of the church. Dale's an incredible guy. Let me tell you about Dale Harris. Dale is the #1 top pharmaceutical rep in the nation. Sells more pharmaceutical reps than any rep. And Dale, I just love to know more about people. Dale, why are you the best pharmaceutical rep in the state of Alabama, or I think it's in his region? Well, not that hard, Rob. He said, you're going to laugh. People think I have some magic, potion. I don't. I take him out to eat. What? Yeah, you take a doctor out to eat, he'll buy everything you got. Take him out to eat. Just show a little love. Talk to him. Listen to him. Show interest with him. Take him to a steakhouse. Feed him some brisket. Give him a breakfast taco. Who knows what they'll do? Take him out to eat. Meals. There's so many different ways. This is where I wanted, right here. Most important slide of the entire presentation is right here. All right, let's suppose a church focuses on new Christians in the pews. Let's suppose a church focuses on compassion cards. They send lots of cards to people, and they do it all year long. Targeted, precision, everybody's involved. Let's suppose a church really focuses on visitors, making sure we always get their information, and we always, let's suppose we do a door knocking once a year. Let's suppose we do house to house properly. Let's suppose we do new movers. Let's suppose we take the digital technology to the max. We put ourselves out there everywhere. Let's suppose we do benevolence and we focus it on evangelism. What should that result in a local church? That's what the average church does. That's what we see. There's no reason why you can't do that. That's growth. 6 to 8 a year will sustain you. That will grow. That right there is how churches grow. You hyper-focus on it. You make it the most important mission in the local church. Number 6, I'm going to run through these in about 5 minutes. I got 4 more. Real simple. Number 6, populate your list. Make yourself a list of every person you know that's not a member of the church, and you focus on reaching them. And you put that list in your Bible. Every member of the church will have a list. I will make sure of it. Before I leave, I'm going to give it to you. Every Church of Christ member will have this in their Bible, and you're going to stare at it, and you're going to look at it. It's going to haunt you because you're responsible to reach them. It's not my list, friend. It's yours. I don't work with them. You do. You got to get to them. I'm going to call your attention to it every Sunday. Everybody get out their list, what you've done about it. Reached them, talked to them, reached out, Bible study, meal, act of kindness, compassion, card. What have you done? I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. I'm going to engage your church members. We've got to engage church members. Get them busy. Number 7, get everybody involved. You know, no one gets COVID because of a card. At least I don't think so. I'm sure Fauci thinks that, but I don't. No one gets COVID because of cards. You can send cards all day long. No one gets COVID. You know, cards are powerful, and it involves widows, widowers, young people, older people. Everybody sends cards, and it involves the whole church. And when little sister Susie, who sent 10 cards to this person over the last 3 months, watches them be baptized, she'll never forget it, will she? Hey, I sent them a card. And you baptized them too, didn't you? Jesus baptized a lot of people he didn't baptize, didn't he? So can you. Number 8, make evangelism a priority. It's not one of the things you talk about in the meeting. It is the thing you talk about in your meeting. See, evangelism is not something that's just a byproduct. Oh, yeah, you know, minute number 1, leaky roof. Minute number 2, pave the parking lot. Minute 3, clean the pews. Minute 4, oh, Andy, you didn't shake Sister Susie's hand. She was upset about that. Can you make sure you shake her hand next week? I mean, that's an elders meeting. Maybe it's not your meeting, but I've been in a lot of those meetings. You know what? One day I walked into our elders meeting. I said, brethren, can you let me set the agenda today? And say, Rob, is there something on your mind? I said, there is. I am tired of talking about the parking lot. I don't need to be here to talk about parking lots. What do you want to talk about, Rob? The lost. We have 5 people sitting in our pews right now that are not Christians, and I want to talk about each one of them. What are you going to do? Bible studies. Well, Rob, they may not come back. They will not be worse off. I baptized all 5 of them that year. The first thing we talked about in every elders meeting was the lost. That was our first and most important discussion. We named them. We had a whiteboard in the elder's office that named them. We talked about them every time we met. Publicize it. You got to talk about evangelism from the pulpit every time you get in it. You got to publicize it. You got to talk about it. What gets pushed gets praised. What gets praised gets pushed. Push it. You got to push evangelism constantly. If you let it slip, it'll die that quick. You got to remind the brethren constantly of their obligation. Evangelism table, pick up your set of Back to the Bible. Do a Bible study. Talk about Bible studies you're doing. Talk about evangelism all the time. Train the church constantly. Keep it on the forefront of their mind. Put it on the announcements. Put it in the PowerPoints, email, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you got to do. Make a bulletin board about it. But you make evangelism the most public announcement you've got at church. Make it more public than the fellowship meal. Make it more public than safety parking lot rules. Make it more public than whatever else gets announced. Make evangelism public. Praise it. Talk about it. Get in the pulpit and just talk to the church and say, brethren, do Bible studies. Let me tell you about one we're doing. Oh, by the way, turn that thing off. Sometimes I tell people, turn it off because we're going to talk. And I don't want to publicize this to the world. I just need to have a talk with the church. I've got this Bible study going on. They're not in the pew, obviously, I would not be doing this. And let me tell you about this person. I need you to pray about number 10. I need you to pray about it. Let's pray about it right now. You know, I did this at Jacksonville when I first got there. I had the closing prayer. I'm not one of their preachers, by the way. I'm just a member like you. But I do Bible studies when I'm there. And Jerry Conley, I said, Father, I thank you for Jerry Conley sitting in our pews. He wasn't there that night. Father, thank you for bringing him. Father, thank you for the opportunity to study with him. Father, help us reach Jerry Conley. I pray for a Bible study for Jerry Conley. Father, give us wisdom that we might till the soil properly. Father, help us reach Jerry Conley. Amen. I had a member of the church come up to me and said, who's Jerry Conley? Only been sitting in your pews for the last 2 years. A month later, we baptized him. It's intentional. It's not an accident. We focused on Jerry Conley. You focus on somebody, you have a Bible study. At large, mission works, do nothing. By the way, if everything you do in a local church is evangelism, nothing you're doing is evangelism. Evangelism is a targeted, precise mission with parameters and strategy, planning sessions. Everybody's got a job. If you do that, you'll grow. I'll end with this, brothers. You will never hit a target you don't aim for, ever. I'm looking at some talented people right now. I know it. There's no reason you can't do this. I know you're already doing it. Do it better. Rededicate yourself. Be more potent than you've ever been before. You make it the number one mission in your life. I tell you what, you don't run a family by accident successfully. You don't build a business by accident successfully. You don't go fishing and catch fat catfish by accident successfully. You do it because you focus on it. Focus on souls, and you'll save them. Thank you for allowing me to be with you today. Tomorrow, I've got 2 lessons. What about my family? Evangelism in the age of COVID. Then I'm heading home for a Bible study. Love you guys. If you need us for anything, let us know. Glad to answer any questions you have, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Thank you. If you're visiting from a local church and want some more information, Jared says we're out. Never mind. Sorry. Jared says we're out. Says, Dad, don't.